Allstate and the city team up to ensure the safety of cyclists and pedestrians. Tucson talks and Washington listens to ease trade with Mexico. And the streetcar comes to the street fair. These stories and more coming up on the next Tucson City News in Review. Hi, I'm Lane Mandel and welcome to Tucson City News in Review. In our first story, a public-private partnership gets the wheels turning on a campaign to make our streets safer for cyclists and pedestrians.
Every life we lose is one too many. We know that there's work to be done to make everyone more aware and respectful of each other on the roads and on our streets.
Thanks to a partnership between the City of Tucson and Allstate, work has already begun to make our streets safer.
Today, we're here to launch a campaign called Tucson on 2, which is a concept that applies to all bike and pedestrian activities in Tucson.
The Tucson on 2 campaign focuses on 3 simple words.
Look twice, Tucson. Cyclists and pedestrians. These words can save your life.
Look for bus stop ads, along with solar-powered bike and pedestrian signs throughout the city.
This year to date, we've had 17 pedestrian fatalities and 3 cyclist fatalities.
The numbers have increased from 2012, and TPD hopes the Tucson on 2 campaign will make a difference in coming years.
What we're hoping is that through the partnership that we have with Tucson on 2, that more of these signs will be out on the roadways.
This stretch of 22nd Street has already seen 2 pedestrian fatalities. In honor of those lives, let's do our part to prevent this from happening again. Look twice, Tucson.
Let's face it, crossing the border out of or into Mexico can be long and frustrating, not just for visitors, but for commercial traffic too. In fact, that was the topic of a recent congressional hearing held right here in Tucson.
In a chamber normally occupied by city staff and elected officials, this meeting, chaired by U.S. Representative Matt Salmon, was anything but business as usual.
It's important that we not lose sight of the serious security concerns that continue to plague Mexico. Efforts to further secure our border can and should be achieved without hampering better and more efficient flows of commerce across our various ports of entry.
Salmon set the stage for a 2-hour hearing before a U.S. House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Subcommittee that focused on improving the flow of trade with Mexico, particularly through the ports of Nogales and Mariposa. Listening to expert testimony was a congressional panel that included U.S. Representative from Arizona, Ron Barber.
While we have appropriately increased the number of Border Patrol agents we have in the southwest border, on the southwest border, we have done very little, Mr. Chairman, to increase the number of customs agents that staff the ports of entry.
And that, says Barber, is critical to expediting the flow of commercial traffic and visitors through Arizona's southern border.
30% of the revenue that's taken in at the malls, the major malls in Pima County, 30% of that revenue comes from visitors who come from Mexico. When they wait 2.5 hours, they're not going to come through this port of entry. They're going to find another place to come.
Those visitors coming from Mexico, they're going to come here, especially during the weekend, and they know they'll be arriving at X time on Friday, and they're going to go back to Mexico on Sunday, 4 p.m., so they can go back to Hermosillo or further south before night. So every hour less that they are in our community, it's less money being spent here.
We're already moving in the right direction. The fact that there was a large investment in the Mariposa Port of Entry shows that Washington is listening to the requests of our community, but there's still more to be done.
To watch the entire subcommittee field hearing on improving security and facilitating commerce with Mexico, visit foreignaffairs.house.gov.
Speaking of long waits and needed legislation, Tucson and Bisbee have recently passed ordinances that finally recognize what for some people has been a long time coming.
Earlier this summer, Bisbee caught the attention of our state and actually the nation for being the first city in Arizona to pass civil unions.
I am so sorry that some of you have had the difficult times and the discrimination and families who have shunned you, communities that have shunned you, and I didn't understand that for a very long time.
Modeling Bisbee's ordinance, Karen Ulick spearheaded the legislation in the city of Tucson, which approved its own ordinance allowing same-sex couples to register civil unions.
We're being honored by the local GLBT Chamber of Commerce, and there's representation of the National Chamber of Commerce as well, honoring both Bisbee and Tucson for our passage of a civil unions ordinance in each of the two cities.
You have a powerful voice in this, and I'm so grateful that you're using it to the fullest extent. So thank you on behalf of all of us on the mayor and council for this recognition.
As Tucson celebrates and promotes diversity and civil rights, there is still more to be done in Arizona.
My greatest hope is for marriage equality in the state of Arizona. 30 states now offer marriage equality, and I hope to see that happen in Arizona.
Shally Fishman has seen marriage equality in other states and offers some insight.
My brother and his fiancée were meeting us to spend Thanksgiving, his fiancée Mark. How bizarre is that to think about? His fiancée Mark. Now, Howard's engaged to be married. And we're going to the wedding, and I guess I'm the best man. And it's like, do I have to wear chiffons? And it's a whole new way of thinking about things, and it's wonderful.
The 4th Avenue Street Fair has always been a great place to buy and sell art, jewelry, and knickknacks. But this year was also an occasion to market Tucson's newest form of transportation.
Under a perfect sky, thousands filled the street for the fall edition of the 4th Avenue Street Fair.
Another happy customer.
As always, there's a lot to see, stuff to buy, plenty of good food, and a little bit of fun. But just when you thought you'd seen it all, this year featured a brand new attraction.
Look at how nice it is. I'm just looking forward to getting on it and going for a ride because I want to take a tour.
Making a cameo public appearance off 4th Avenue on 8th Street, Streetcar 102.
We're going to be open for passenger service come July 2014, so we should have all 8 by then.
Sunlink employees were on hand to answer questions, as Tucson 12 stood by to pick up some reactions.
You look at that command center of that driver. It's beautiful. And he's got adjustable seats. I mean, he's going to be comfortable. He's going to be an ambassador for this whole area. He's going to be giving people an excellent tour of our town. And Tucson's a great place to live. This is just going to make it that much better.
It's going to be a good transportation solution that we're going to have, linking University all the way to the Arizona Health Sciences Center where UMC is, all the way to downtown, Mercado Plaza, and so it's going to be great. Absolutely.
We've been to places that have, streetcar systems. My daughter lived in Portland for quite a few years, and the amount of rideage that goes on and the buildup of the areas around the streetcar are wonderful.
Austin was really not in favor of it, and it finally passed, and a lot of people are just really pleased with it. They can get on it and not have to fool around with anything and get to work, and it's worked out quite well.
What do you think of the new streetcar?
I like it. I think it's going to be exciting for Tucson. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to build community in an area where there wasn't one before, and have a reason for people to come down to one central place and have a good time. You bet.
You can find out what the excitement is all about by visiting TucsonStreetcar.com.
That wraps it up for this edition. For Tucson 12, I'm Lane Mandel, and I'll see you next time on Tucson City News in Review.